Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, bear with me whilst I get these links out to the group. And then we can dive straight into it, I guess. Okay. Well, I mean, trading session yesterday was amazing. Today's training session, amazing so far. So yeah, happy days, happy days, happy days. Those that are just joining us, welcome, 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 welcome. I'm just getting these links out. Beautiful. Yeah, so welcome. So we'll go through a market update because we haven't sent one of these out in a while. So we'll go through a market update, guys. Yeah, we'll do a full one. So we'll go through crypto as well as kind of the rest of the market, your FX, your equities, your commodities. Because yeah, we've been seeing a lot of movement. That's for sure. Especially this morning, the FX market, a lot of movement. Managed to cash in on a nice FX trade. We'll go through that in just a second, but yeah, the market is making some nice moves. Let me just get some news. Please use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds to accurate keyframes or not. Right, okay, let me know what the quality of the stream is like, because I'm getting some pop-ups saying that I need to change some settings. So, yeah, just keep me in the loop of anything. Okay, beautiful. Right, so Bitcoin. Starting to show some weakness. Got two things playing right now. Okay. Yeah, so showing some weakness here. That is for sure. Let me get DTA off. So, let's start on the weekly and we'll go down. Do a full top down update. Okay, so we're at kind of this key level on the chart here. Previous structure here. Nice reaction from buyers. And we broke out and we've come and retested it. So we've got a natural level of previous support turning into new resistance, right? So we've got resistance here. So we can kind of put a visual level of resistance, okay? And then we can look on the bottom end. And it's almost like we've got a wider range that's playing out between your 25k roughly and about 16 grand. Okay, now look at where we're finding this resistance. Okay, at these moving averages at the 200 and at the 50. The 50 is crossing over with the 200. Okay, which is actually a bearish indication, right? But yeah, that's kind of on the high time frame now. As you can see, I mean, sellers really didn't come in here, and I mean they're showing a little bit of signs now. But I mean, yeah, we got a little bit more buy side on this candle up here. So ideally, we want to see the sellers start to come in on the higher time frame. Now, obviously, let's move down to the daily and kind of get a little bit more of a better idea in terms of whether we're getting sell side coming in. Now, as you can see clearly, I mean, we're getting a little bit more sell side than buy side, that's for sure. So yeah, it's looking like okay, maybe the market might be moving down, rather than moving up. And thank you, Charles. Thank you. So yeah, probably looking like we're going to move down now. Taking a look at the dollar index is on a rampage. So yeah, things are starting to switch up. Okay, now if we took that core PCE prices that we just got, okay, and the CPI, actually the US CPI prior to that, showing signs that inflation is becoming sticky or actually kind of rebounding back up now. Obviously we get CPI I think in 2 weeks if I'm right, a week or two. So if the CPI comes in relatively unchanged again or higher, okay, that's going to trigger a sell-off. Now, we'll take a look at the equities markets because the equity markets are showing a lot of signs of weakness. They're coming back into structure, okay, and normally when the equity markets start making these moves, Bitcoin does follow, okay. But yeah, so if we put the TA back on, okay, now obviously we've got a trade open to go short, and we're trying to see whether we can come down into the structure here. But let's go over to the 4 hour. Yeah, I mean, just look at that bearish structure. So we've got this previous structure of support, right? So we were moving within this range here. Okay, we broke out of the range. We came all the way down to this previous structure here. We've rebounded, and now we're building up on another range. Okay, so we got a range through here and here. Okay, now prices pushed back up, tapped this liquidity that up here, and pushed right back down. Okay, and now we're by the looks of it, I mean, it's looking like we're going to push towards the bottom again. Okay, we've got this kind of level of support that's currently holding. As you can see here, we're tapping into this liquidity here. But yeah, it's looking like we're going to make that break and push towards potentially 22,900. Now, let me just take a look at the economic calendar. Still need to get the economic calendar out to the group, so I do apologize in advance for that. It's just been a bit of more pretty hectic. So from the 28th to the okay, so okay, yeah, so I'm pretty sure this week is mainly EU data. So we've just got Spanish CPI out, came in at 6.1, so it's an increase from prior. We do get really, I mean, today's pretty clear. We do get some Chinese data later on, which is going to be important. Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow, so we get a German manufacturing PMI, unemployment, CPI. Not much US manufacturing PMI, that'll be important. Okay, so we start getting some US data tomorrow. Your big day really is Thursday, where we get EU CPI, and US jobless claims. Yeah, that's your big day. Okay, and on Friday, UK PMI, EU PPI, US services PMI, and ISMs. Okay, so Thursday, Friday are your big days. So again, that's where we should be expecting the movement to come in. But yeah, it's probably looking like we're going to start pushing the dollar's value back up. Okay, let's go over to the dollars, have a little look. Okay, so making another move back down towards this trend line. So we got this long-term trend line that the dollar's kind of been holding, as you can see, for quite a while now. What we need to bear in mind is that we could overextend the trend line, okay, and kind of create almost a double trend line. Okay, it does happen over and over again. They are considered trap zones where price does overextend and goes back straight back into structure. So just bear that in mind. If we do make that push, we do have some structure that it could come down and tap full liquidity and make a push back up. But I mean, as things are looking, that they are looking good. Hopefully we can hold here and just continue accumulating. That'll be a good indication that things will come back down for the risk on assets. Okay, so we'll keep a close eye. We'll see kind of what's happening here. I mean, in terms of data, the data is coming out in terms of, we kind of get a little bit of US data, but it's not huge data. We do get a Chicago PMI later on today, so that will be holding some strength. So yeah, we'll keep a close eye on things, but yeah, let's go over to the equities and we'll have a little look. As you can see, I mean, we pushed straight back into structure on the S&P. Straight back into structure. It's looking very bearish right now. So this is kind of your key level here. This 200 on the daily is your level to kind of look at. If we breach and push back beneath it, it's probably going to trigger off some stop losses and some liquidation. So we're probably looking at a level between 3,850 and 3,800 holding as next support. So keep a close eye on things. But as you can see here, we got a nice double top, and now we're trickling back down in price. So yeah, realistically, we would have wanted to see a bit of a nicer bounce off this kind of liquidity area here, as well as that kind of previous structure on the trend line. But I mean, we kind of just we pushed past it, came back, retested, and then I mean we're continuing to push back down. So yeah, realistically, guys, I mean, this was kind of a retest here, and we should have just continued pushing up, and we failed to do so. And I mean, the data that we're getting out is not good, obviously, and the data from EU isn't good. And in March, I mean, Christine Lagarde has already said in the previous meeting that she's going to put interest rates up by another 0.5. And the data that's coming out is looking like the Fed might do the same. And if the Fed comes in at 0.5, markets haven't priced that in. So again, that will trigger a sell-off. The Nasdaq has been the moving equity, and yeah, I mean, came up, tested for liquidity, previous structure here. Again, similar structure to the S&P. Okay, double top, came back down, and now holding this level as support. This is your key level. I mean, it's got previous resistance turning into new support. So yeah, it needs to breach this and come below. If it continues holding this level, then yeah, it's looking like we could potentially push back up. So yeah, ideally we want to break that 11,800. That's your key level for the Nasdaq. Okay, so equities, dollar done, Bitcoin done. Let's have a little touch base on Ethereum. Okay. Similar structure, again, kind of tighter range. Okay, it's not moving as much as Bitcoin. Now, let me, just before I kind of dive into this, I just want to touch on Bitcoin dominance. Okay, it is kind of, by the looks of it, kind of compressing. Okay. So, if it continues pushing up and Bitcoin pushes down, and I mean we've bounced off the low here, right, off this range. If we start making that push up here and Bitcoin starts to make that move down, that will trigger a huge sell-off in the altcoins. Okay, So we'll keep a close eye on it, because it will give us some nice information on how to treat the market. Total crypto market cap, making a push down towards that 1 trillion psychological level. It did actually manage to breach it not too long ago, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just here, it just pushed. Oh no, just here, just pushed beneath. It's just a few days ago. And again, building up on structure, it does look like we're going to make that push down lower. So again, keep a close eye on that 1 trillion mark. If we push down, breach beneath it, and then actually come and test it as resistance, that will be kind of another bearish signal for the market. But I mean, look at this. We are kind of struggling here, failing to do so, holding this level of resistance, tap for liquidity, and come back down. So yeah, another thing to kind of keep your eyes on, to dictate which way the market is going. But yeah, there is quite a lot of weakness kind of coming through. Yeah, so Ethereum. Let's go to the daily. We'll touch base here. Tighter range. Okay, we're holding this kind of level here. It hasn't really pushed up to the top here. Ideally, this is where all the liquidity is being held at. Okay. There's a little bit of liquidity here, and obviously this is your kind of previous structure. This is your wider range and the wider kind of structure you're playing within, as you can see here. And we're actually just kind of struggling to make a move. So it could be the case that, again, we kind of push down, build up some more structure here, and move with the market. So if Bitcoin makes a move down, okay, and Ethereum fails to actually develop, then this is kind of the top here, and it's just going to come crashing down. Now it came down, tested for liquidity here quite perfectly. We can get rid of that. And now again, we're kind of in this range. Okay, relatively weak price action. Nice trend line. Again, looking weak from the buy side. Saw a little bit of that sell side coming in on there, so keep an eye. Ideally, we want to hold this level and then potentially take a nice short here. Just play it to the downside. Now again, there's liquidity here that's already been tapped. We will need to get past that point. Got a little bit of liquidity there. And you can either play it to this kind of structure just here, or play it to the bottom or to the next larger liquidity zone, as you can see back here. Okay, but yeah, I mean, looking weak, guys. Looking weak. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's crypto kind of covered, really. Just go back to. Yeah, we got this tighter range. Does look like we're going to come down or at least test this bottom. It's a little bit of liquidity at the bottom there. Yeah, we're looking good. Let me just check this FX trade that we've got opened. Okay, FX is looking good. Yeah, so Solana, again, short that we got open. Beautiful entry. You couldn't ask for a better entry, really. And we got this kind of staggered structure coming down. So as long as we kind of hold this point, we're coming down further. Sellers kind of coming in. Got a little bit of buy side. But that's okay. We got this structure to break. Once we break, we'll be coming down to previous structure. So yeah, I mean, it's looking good. things are looking like we could make that breakdown. Now it all kind of just depends on the dollar. Okay, we do need to hold this point. So keep a close eye on things. Yeah, it's holding on to a nice trend line. So hopefully it continues and Bitcoin can continue kind of coming down, right? So yeah, let's go over to commodities. Let's touch on oil. So, we've got this. Well, it's in a much larger range. Okay, I will show you right now. Okay, so this is your wider range. You can probably see it better on the 4 hour. Here we go. Okay, so this is your wider range that it's moving within. Okay, I guess kind of just wait on some developments from China, from OPEC. We do get an OPEC meeting this week, and that's essentially going to make or break potentially, depending on what's said, of course. But yeah, so we're finding we came down, tapped for liquidity back here, made that push back up, and now we're kind of compressing in price. Okay, so as you can see here, we're kind of starting to compress, and we're just moving tight in a tighter sort of structure. This is the wider range that we're playing to, but now we're kind of adhering to this trend line here. Now, this is your much tighter range, and we're at this liquidity zone just here. So, yeah, I presume we're just going to move up and down, potentially come back down and make a bit of a wider push as it is compressing here. So that's kind of the move that we're looking at. Okay, tapping this liquidity zone and actually making a move back down to the downside, breaking through this kind of natural trend line that it's kind of creating here. So, yeah. That's oil for you. It has been treating us very nicely. I've been getting some nice trades out of oil, that's for sure. So see whether we can continue, but this is kind of your area for liquidity, and it is tapping. So we'll see whether it can continue holding. Got that 200 on the 1 hour. Hopefully it can hold and we start making that move down. That would be very nice. So we'll see. Let me get another chart up. Hotter than expected. Okay, yeah, let's have a little look at the FX space. We do have a current FX trade open, and it is just coming into profit. Let me just get the Yeah, we're just coming into profit now on that trade. But yeah, so we got Japanese CPI came out yesterday, came in as expected, 3.1%. We got a little bit of Australian and New Zealand data the night prior. This was the trade that we cashed in this morning. Very nice trade. Okay. You got your structure being built up here, as you can see. And we kind of broke out, right? We started to kind of swing back up. Saw some nice buy side on that reaction from the support level and made that push. Now we pulled that Fibonacci extension from bottom to top to bottom, giving us a nice projection. We got out just here. Okay, so yeah, very nice trade. Okay, so we're just letting it play. I mean, in on the higher time frame, we're kind of at a liquidity area. Okay, just back here. So yeah, got in, got out, nice trade. So well done to everyone that was involved in that one. So yeah, let's see what we can get out of the rest of the day. There's going to be some decent movement today. We got Spanish CPI just come out. Okay, so 6.1% came in higher. Month on month 1%, which was much higher. Um, we got Canadian GDP coming out. We get some US data. Okay, so that's where we'll get movement. We get some Australian data. We get CPI, GDP. Um, yeah, and then we get some Asian data. So we get some Japanese and some Chinese data later on. But for this next session, I guess we're gonna keep an eye on anything with the Australian dollar. Really, that's where some of this movement's going to come in. Let's have a little look. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, look at the FX space is booming. Seeing a lot of movement from that FX space. What's Let's have a little look at to what we expect in here. So we're expecting CPI to come down for Australia, GDP to contract. On a year-on-year basis and increase on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Okay. Got manufacturing PMI from Australia as well. Yeah, we'll get a decent amount of data. We could make a push. This does look relatively weak. So a bit buy side. Does look like we could get short here. I think we could potentially see a nice short here. The only thing that I don't like is how volume is increasing. That's da 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 da.
was an interesting feature of the deal to include the Northern
Hmm.
Ireland. And it was really enthusiastic. Press were on one side, and then the negotiating teams, the EU and the UK ambassadors were on the other side, and the senior members of Number 10, those people who really got this deal over the line, were sitting all together,
It's
congratulating
one
each
to
other.
keep your eyes on,
You
that's
could
for
see
sure.
the look on their faces. But something that was really palpable was the enthusiasm from von der Leyen, I think, in particular. She was incredibly smiley, incredibly warm to Rishi Sunak. They both spoke about opening a new chapter on their relationship, and that felt very genuine in the room yesterday.
Ellen, I feel like that we've spent quite a lot of our lives trying to decide where exactly the final details of this deal would arrive at. When we got the final elements, what do you see as the most important steps of what we saw in the new Windsor framework?
I think the most practical step in the framework is something that Bloomberg actually got the scoop on a few weeks ago, which was this agreement on the green and red lane for goods. Trade friction was the most practical, had the most, it was the biggest
Hmm.
contributor to protocol in practical terms. So this will just ease trade flows between Britain and Northern Ireland, reducing checks and paperwork on goods, which just stays within the UK. That's really important. The biggest surprise, and I guess the rabbit out the hat moment, was this Stormont break. Something that Sunak really wanted to do was address the so-called democratic deficit in Northern Ireland, where the people can't get a say over the EU laws that govern them. He described it as a veto over whether amended EU laws would apply in Northern Ireland. EU officials were more subtle about it. It was described as a measure as last resort. It does require 30 lawmakers in Northern Ireland to request for the provision to be triggered.
Um,
But that's something
let's
that
have a little look
pro
what we
EU
can
and
get.
pro Brexit MPs have really pointed to as evidence as to why they think massive progress has been made.
Morwenna, do you think that will be enough to win over the DUP?
Well, I think it's something that they've certainly been really concerned about. They really do want to have that democratic authority returned, and so it is important. They say they're considering the details. They really do want to take their time on this. It's of course important to note that to make that Stormont stop possible, Stormont does have to be sitting. So they will need to go back into government. So the two kind of come hand in hand. If they're able to accept it, then it can actually be practically successful.
This is your range, we're at the top. So, I mean,
Exactly what we might have expected.
got this
Just
liquidity just up
we
here.
heard Foreign Minister Micheál Martin talking about
And we do get data today, so
what
we're either strengthening or weakening against the yen.
which has been such an important part in the EU side of these negotiations.
Well,
Seen some
certainly
nice
from
buy
the
side
EU
coming in.
perspective,
Could make that
the DUP
push.
offers is very, very much welcomed. I think they've been keen to stress how much the EU has listened to the concerns of the unionists. A real priority for the Irish government is that
Some more liquidity at the top here.
Northern Irish parties
Not
to
being
vote
tapped into.
for the bill. They do need to go back and make Stormont function. It's an essential part of the Good Friday Agreement to have this devolved government sitting. And they really are very, very keen on that.
Yeah, I got two potential trades here, so we'll keep a close eye on both of them.
So they
I'm
do
gonna
want to
look
take
up
their
what's
time
happening here on
to
Crypto.
consider the proposals, and we're hearing that
Coming
from
back
some
up,
of
testing for resistance. That is all good. I mean, dollar index is making that push lower, isn't it?
border, and that he'll need to include Northern Ireland. The business groups are meeting with Sunak this morning, so I think there is a sense of let's try and build this consensus, let's try and get a deal that works.
So
But
we'll
it's
look at
very welcome
gold. Will be nice to look at.
efforts that have been made on both sides.
Yeah, and then looking beyond that, I mean, the Northern Ireland protocol, the border deal that was born as both sides trying to get more EU-UK relations deals done. Ellen, if they can resolve this and it's on its way to, assuming other groups approve of this, what's next for EU?
It's a very nice move not too long ago. Jesus. It's a very nice reaction. I mean, that was some nice buy side coming in hot just here. Could be that we start making a move back up now. That was a nice kind of buy side reaction. Probably look at trying to enter long here. So this is your liquidity as support. Let's have a little look at what we can get here. See if we can make a push at 382 long and just play it up, I guess. Some nice buy side that came in on that candle, that's for sure. Yeah, be keeping a close eye on this. See if we can get a long entry here within between 1810, 1808. That would be a nice point of entry. We're holding on to this level. It's good. Need this to hold and make that push down lower.
Yeah, Morwenna, Alan alluded to there the importance of the US and all of this. Of course, we're counting down to what will be 25 years since the Good Friday Belfast Agreement was signed in Belfast. How will this affect how that event is being marked?
Well, it is this year, and there has been a lot of emphasis on it. Although people are very keen to stress, this isn't a deadline. But of course, it would be helpful if it was resolved by then. The Executive Director stressed last night that this will be a big celebration, regardless of the situation with the protocol. It is 25 years of peace on the island of Ireland, which really was seen as a huge achievement, and still is. The protocol and
To see what we can get. Yeah, this would be a very nice entry to go long if we can get this.
about the US President Joe Biden coming to visit the celebrations. Ireland keeps stressing he's very welcome to come anytime, regardless of whether there's the anniversary celebration and regardless of the protocol. But of course, it is seen that it would be a much nicer
Yeah.
scenario.
Nice pullback here. Tap for liquidity. Hold this level of support and make that push up higher. That's exactly what we're looking at. Bitcoin holding on to resistance, making that push back down. Yeah, this looks like we're going to make that push. Bam. Yeah. Got like a head and shoulders here. Does look good, guys. Does look good.
On the latest Sound On podcast, I speak with Virginia Congressman Don Beyer about some of the top priorities for House Democrats and where they think they can work with Republicans.
On trade policy, there's much more that we need to do. I don't want to get too nerdy technical, but renewing the general system of preferences and miscellaneous tariff bills, these are things that have been lagging, and we should address them. On tax policy, there's lots of little and big things to fix. I think we have to get a budget for the next few years and solve the debt ceiling crisis. These are all things that we're going to have to do together. And then there are things that they may try to do. I think Joe Biden pretty much took attacking Medicare.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do a quick overview. Okay, so Bitcoin. Okay, the positions to go short are looking good. We just got to be a little bit patient. Yeah, things are very, very sluggish. Okay, they are taking their time. Yeah, it's been a very slow move to the downside. It's not been kind of your fast, quick reaction moves that you kind of normally see in crypto. It's kind of slowly changing sentiment, slowly trying to make that push down lower. There's a lot of buy side, okay, trying to hold and push prices back up. So we do need to bear that in mind, especially obviously as we are in short. So again, it's about being patient. Okay. Hopefully we can continue holding this level and we kind of make that push down. Again, probably more than likely to start coming in on that New York Open. Okay, we do get a little bit of US data coming through today, so hopefully we can kind of get some movement on the dollar index. Okay, so that's your crypto side of things. I mean, as you can see, the dollar is coming down to this liquidity area it's holding. So again, we'll keep a close eye on it. If it continues to breach, I mean, if it breaches 104.4, then I mean it's looking like the trend line has broken. Okay, and that is going to be bullish for risk on assets. So yeah, keeping a close eye on the dollar index is important here. Oil is kind of holding this level of resistance here. Now we do get some API data, some OPEC data coming out. So again, we should see a little bit of movement here. Hopefully we can kind of hold this level of resistance, which we are doing. A relatively weak buy side. I mean, the buy side is kind of falling down from its peaks and declining as prices are actually making that move up higher. So by the looks of it, we could potentially see that break of this trend line and make a move towards the bottom of this tighter range that things are moving within. Now again, over the course of today, we are getting quite a decent amount of Australian data as well as New Zealand data and some US data. So again, we'll keep a close eye. Australian, Japanese yen for a potential long, and we got Australian dollar, okay, for a potential short. Does look like we're in or structuring up for a bearish flag here. So again, could potentially see that a nice short-in opportunity here on the Australian Australian dollar, US dollar. Okay, again, bear in mind we are getting that data coming through later on today. Okay, but yeah, apart from that, let's touch on gold as well. So gold, hopefully we can kind of get a nice pullback here to the range of 1810, 1808. That's your kind of edge entry area. Ideally, we can get a nice reaction from the buyers. And see them kind of start to come in on that lower time frame and attempt to make that push up much higher. Okay, so we got potential long on gold as well. Okay, so that's kind of our structure now. Yeah, we're going to leave it there. There's not much movement here, so we'll kind of hold off and we'll come back in on that New York opening session at 2 o'clock. Where we should see movement and volume kind of come in again, and at least markets have had a little bit of time between now and then to structure up, hold on to their levels, and await the volume to come in on that New York session and make that push and break. Okay, but yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on things. We'll update you where necessary. But yeah, if we don't see you on that New York opening session, then yeah, best of luck, and yeah, hopefully you have a great day today. Okay, but yeah, thank you and enjoy your day. Cheers.